somehow I've been disciplined into actually paying for content.
Hi, Klaus. You wanted to talk about Facebook?
Yes, yes.
Something with Australia and some fun
Well,
stuff going on?
I'm very, very intrigued, and uh, you know, uh, just to summarize very briefly, if people don't know, the Australian government have made a law that says that Facebook should pay fees to Australian news media because for whatever they display on their platform. And Facebook says it's unfair, and then they've closed. They've they've disliked the whole of Australia.
They also went so far as to block Australian government sites.
Yes, and everything,
Yeah,
Australian news, government sites, but also local sites like the local fire brigade and the water supply and whatever, everything has been blocked.
Sounds
And
like an overkill, but of course it's easier to block by IP address. Every IP
but
address from Australia.
yes, but they've said, okay, that was a mistake. We'll get it back as soon as we can.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, well, at one point, I can't help thinking that I understand why Facebook does this. But as they say here in Danish news media, is that the reason that what the Australians are doing, the reason that is a fair thing to do is that Facebook has monopoly. Because if we could just change to another media than Facebook, then everything would be okay. But we can't.
No, I read Facebook's motivation was that the charging of links, and I suppose it is the thumbnails and the headlines that Facebook copies over from the news page to display on their platform, but they say that that's not how internet works. And I suppose they're right, because Facebook and Google are kind of the internet today. So, yeah, it's an interesting statement.
For instance, if I share something on Facebook from a Danish newspaper that I subscribe to, then there is a paywall, so that if people want to actually read the article, they have to be subscribers as well. Yeah. So it's only the sort of teaser. And what Facebook is saying, which I think is fair also, is that the benefit is much larger for the medias than it is for Facebook, because they get exposed more. Yeah. But all in all, I think also it taps into this discussion that what would you actually pay for on the internet?
Yeah.
Because if you've asked me for 10, 15 or 20 years ago what I would be prepared to pay for on the internet, my answer would be absolutely nothing. Yeah. Everything on the internet is free, period.
And this is just history repeating itself once again. When the Australian government proposed this, it seems like Google actually made an agreement with newspapers to pay them for showing some content. But Facebook didn't want to do that, so they basically blocked the entire Australian
yes, but that's also because Facebook says that showing this news are not important to them.
Yeah.
And it is important for Google, but it's not important for Facebook.
No, so that's basically the difference here. Yeah. But what's going on right now is that Facebook says that this does not produce any value for them, and the news media says that Google is exploiting their content for free, and that's kind of the same thing as back in the days where you have Napster and you could download music for free, and the motivation from the Napster community or the um, pros of the people who are pro Napster and downloading for free, they said, well, this is exposure, and you wouldn't sell as many records if you didn't have this exposure, because now you can reach out to even more people who can buy your record. And you have the same thing with in the creative industry, because uh, you have workers who are asked to make a logo or do some design work, and or make a photo shoot, take some pictures, and the businesses want them to do it for free because they get free exposure, and maybe we will buy something from you later, but at this point uh, you should do it for free because this is like commercial for you.
Yeah, but
And
what you're saying here is that, as a matter of fact, you could ask the reverse question: why aren't the newspaper paying Google
to
to show that?
to be exposed.
Yes.
Yeah, well, no, not really, because in this case, Facebook and Google are actually using content that the news media has provided or created. So the news media has spent time making an article, and some
Yes.
piece of that content is displayed on Google and Facebook. And when the users go in, they can read the headlines and the first paragraphs of the article and see the picture. So they don't need to click on it to get the newsworthy content. And that's kind of where the border goes, I think.
I think that's, oh, well, I was thinking like that too.
Yeah,
Because when they started with paywalls, you know, on the newspaper here in Denmark, they do that all over the world.
yeah,
I was thinking like, okay, I just read the headlines. But now I'm subscribing to two papers,
hmm,
because I want to read the articles.
yeah,
So it's not enough. And what has happened is that somehow I've been disciplined into actually paying for content. Also, in the old days, I would buy a record or a CD or whatever, maybe once a year, but
yeah.
probably rather once every second year or every third year. Now I pay Spotify every month. Uh,
To have access to a lot more.
yes, and it's very convenient. So, but I didn't pay for music before then.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, a few years back, I came across this startup business who wanted to create like a Spotify for newspaper where you could uh, get access to all newspapers through one paywall.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure how that went. I haven't heard too much about them lately. But I think that is getting more and more a potential business idea. But of course, the different newspapers want to keep their own revenue and don't want to share their revenue. But I think they would be able to reach a larger audience if they if the right actor came along and did this. But we've seen this the online business have changed a lot the last couple of years in regards to payments. You have the movie industry that's been completely digitalized, and we started paying for Netflix a few years back, and now I pay for YouTube and some other channels for video content.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
I even pay software licenses now.
yeah,
um, so yes, it's become mainstream to pay for your content.
Yeah, we're getting
Uh,
more and more used to actually paying for the content, and I also think that's we're getting tired of all the commercials, so we want to get rid of all the banners. That's one of the
uh,
reasons I pay, because I can't stand all the advertisements on these platforms. So I've just paid to get rid of those because I don't have time to watch all the crappy banners that's shown.
yeah. But that's a good reason as any.
Yeah.
I pay for Spotify because they had this system that it would be free on your desktop PC, and they charge you money on your phone.
Hmm.
And when I'm in my sitting room, I don't want my computer on the table, so I needed to have on the phone.
Yeah.
So okay, I pay, um, and yeah, well, uh, of course you should keep a track on how many services that you're actually subscribing to, because it might be some money, in the end. Um, but then again, why shouldn't you pay for content?
No.
And the point is that you have this business model of giving things away, like for instance, um, Facebook, you
Yeah.
could say. But
Yeah, but
as
Facebook
it's very,
still hasn't made a good revenue model. They are still reliant on ads.
yeah, but as it is, the saying goes that there's no such thing as a free meal.
No.
Uh, and at least they got your data.
Yeah.
Uh, and they have all these ads and all this stuff. So, I mean, they are making money
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway. And yeah, well, it's free if you don't consider your own data to be anything worth,
Mm.
but
If
only then.
if you don't value your privacy and integrity,
Yeah,
so yeah.
true enough. Anyway, it's going to be exciting to see how this atomic war between Facebook and Australia will evolve, and it will have
Yeah.
impact for the how it's going to work. For in the future, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I wonder what will come out of it. If there's some grand major platform that will kind of unite all the news media platforms and kind of track how much exposure each ad has or each article has on different platforms, and then charge a fee for exposure. Mm. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, maybe so.
there is some kind of conflict, and it's not like the end of showing articles online, but
Yeah,
it's a
but you see,
discussion on
yeah,
how this should be done.
the argument of the Australians is that they want to protect their all the Australian media industry,
Yeah.
and they're saying that basically they're on attack from the big tech companies, predominantly American tech companies, who doesn't pay anything. And one of the things is that they don't pay tax in the countries they operate also.
Yeah, that's
And
also an issue. Yeah.
yes, but I think they're linked actually.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that European government, Australian government, and other governments, are getting tired of this and saying they should pay. Um, and yeah, well, I'm ambivalent about this, but because I think you know anybody can put anything up on Facebook, and
Yeah.
then next to then people come and charge Facebook for something that somebody else has put up. I think maybe it's a bit tough. On the other hand, I do see the argument that why
But
shouldn't they pay tax and pay for their content as everybody else does?
yeah, but you should say, you used to say, uh, if anybody's gonna steal some software, I
Still saying,
rather have it be my software.
yeah, they should steal ours,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Because then it will get consumed, and it might spawn some new exposure and someone in the end will pay for it, perhaps. Yeah.
You know, there is a Danish newspaper. I'm not going to tell the name of it, but I think it's a crappy newspaper,
Yeah.
and I really hate to pay for it. But they have an excellent correspondent in Bangkok covering Far East Asia, or
Okay.
Southeast Asia. So, in order to be able to read those articles in full, I have to pay for the rest of the crap. Sorry for my language.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. And I've been watching on, you know, when you clicked in on the internet edition of the newspaper and you saw this article and there was a paywall, you know, and you was just like, damn it, I can't get in. And that would have been explosive from Facebook or Google search and stuff like that. So in a way you could say Facebook helped creating revenue for that particular newspaper.
Yeah.
So.
And you also have these new things like payment for creatives and stuff like that, where you can donate money, and when you look at someone's website, the Brave browser does this, for instance. They have their own currency. So when you watch a website, you are in effect paying a small fee for the content that you consume.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also choose to donate some more. I don't remember the name of the other platform I'm thinking of, but there are some things where you can subscribe, and the viewers of your YouTube channel, for instance, can donate money. That's a way to be able to contribute to creators in a good way. But that's also voluntary based. It's not like you have to pay in order to get access to that, but it gives you support. Please join in the conversation in the comments below and share your view on the monetization of the internet. And let's talk next week.
Will do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.